She was his girlfriend at 16, his widow at 51. She'd told me of the craziness of their lives, of how all the women loved him, but none more than her, of how he was part of her and she of him. He her strength, she his first love. Their 4 children stood by as she lay across his jaundiced body and howled. "You cannot leave me now," she howled. "It's not time. Would it ever be the right time? Does love end at death or just happen differently?"
This is a complete first for the Salvation Army in New Zealand, but it's been a delightfully successful way of operating, and getting engagement in the community, having the support of the community is vital to a service such as this, and it's vital that the community feels that it is their service and that they do own it, and that it is when they need it, or when family needs it, or somebody they know in the community needs it, that there is a service that they can rely on and is trustworthy and will provide them the sort of care that they need.
Good afternoon, welcome to Community Hospice. Claire speaking.
Jo's illness got to a point where she needed to have a higher level of care, so she got brought into the palliative care program, and we met the people at the hospice through that. It was a bit daunting, but it was nowhere near as the sort of, I suppose that step was quite scary because of the perception of what palliative care meant. But it was something which was needed because she was having a lot of serious issues related to her cancer, and we were very pleased to. Once we're in the system, we were very pleased to be there. Ultimately, it doesn't get much worse than sort of going to the hospice. I suppose one of the good things about when you're in the public health system, you've got hope. Okay, this time we'll get on top of it. A lot of the time that was the case. Once you get to the hospice, you get the realisation hits you that actually that isn't going to happen. You're not going to get better, and that's very difficult. And I suspect it was not easy for any of us, I would have thought, but it's certainly much more difficult for a young person who's got a young family, and it was made even notwithstanding how difficult that was, it was made quite a bit easier by the by the people that are that you're actually dealing with. Yeah.
Rest a while, O weary traveller. Let me take your pain into my hands and away from your heart. It's too heavy to carry on this walk. It's weighing you down. Your steps are sodden with it. Lay your body on this soft down. Float, sink. Close your eyes. Feel butterfly wings hover and caress your lashes. May peace fall gently upon your tired body. Nourish it with tenderness and hold your hand as further tiny steps you bravely take. I will walk beside you for as long as I can.
So she's really just coming here just to make sure that she doesn't fall out of this.
That's right. It was really lovely because they came back and the room was tiny, but it was and they really appreciated it.
The pain management had to be monitored very carefully in the initial stages of the illness. So with the help of the doctors and the nurses at the hospice, they found a pain relief that I could use, and and it's really good. Virtually I don't have, as long as I do as I'm told and take the pain relief when necessary, I seem to be handling it really well. You can go into the hospice feeling very, very low, and by the time you've had your treatment or discussed whatever it is that you've gone in, you come out and you feel really, really good. They're really caring people. Their happiness, it just rubs off. They're great people. They each have a different taste in music, some very good, some a bit indifferent. But no, right from the volunteers bringing meals and things right through to the nursing staff, they're really, really special people. And I just, can't say enough in the way of my thanks. They're great people, really, really great.
My job is to visit people in their homes, support people in their homes, and I work from 8 to 4:30, and we cover the weekends as well. We do all share the weekends. There's about 5 of us, so we get one weekend in 5. Yeah, I liaise with the doctors and liaise with the hospital and the specialists, and also our hospice doctors help. We have our meeting and discuss all our patients, and that's my job.
Hello. All right. Good, thank you.
It's a wee while since I've seen you. A couple of weeks since I've been, isn't it?
That'll be about right.
Y has got lung cancer, so her biggest problem is her breathlessness. Before that she did have pain and nausea, but we've got that under control, and that's one of our biggest things we do is symptom control. And also with movement she got very short of breath, so we've put in things to help her from the hospice, like a hospice bed and a lazy boy, and we organised home oxygen for her to cope. She's also got a little cylinder that when she's able she can get out in the car and go for drives and still have her oxygen.
Yes. No, we're doing okay. Well, he's flat out with the shop. Over when you want me to.
I take one day at a time. You know, God give me strength, and He has so far. I really do look forward to the visitors. Yeah, they are marvellous, absolutely wonderful. They've been absolutely wonderful. They've been there for me. I didn't know what I was going through, and they have been there for me.
Okay, up we go.
Late in 2006, Anne developed some symptoms and then had to go and see a specialist, and they discovered that Anne had a fairly aggressive sarcoma type cancer. Again saw the specialist and had to have an urgent operation, and then Anne had some more radiation treatment as basically palliative treatment to try and hold the cancer, but that created more complications and she died shortly after that.
I do feel that life does go on and my mum did do her best, but I can't say it's been easy, especially being at boarding school away from the action. Sort of, I see it in doses where she'd change over 5 weeks, and it can be quite, shocking. On the last 2 weeks of my mum's life, I was in and out of here almost every day. The hospice experience, although it's not a nice place to be considering what you're there for, it's not too bad. The hospice staff do a good job of, keeping everybody happy. They're always there. They make the best of, a bad situation. So, I mean, it's not too bad.
The hospice is really underrated in the community until you actually experience it. I mean, I've known what Anne gave as a doctor, but to actually be on the receiving end was a revelation to me, because it just enabled you to be who you were. It doesn't matter what your religious convictions maybe, or where you come from in the community, whether you're poor or rich, or a doctor or a vineyard worker. The staff just treat you as a person, and they enable the family to cater for each individual's needs at an intimate level. And in our case, Anne and I have been passionate about motorbikes, and the bike was to be delivered at Picton, and so I went to pick it up and brought it back, and hoping that Anne was well enough to walk out to have a look at it, or I could get it to her bedroom door. I got out there and I put my leg over it and started it up and rode it around to the front of the hospice to find the staff were sort of lined up opening the doors, and I managed to ride it all the way down the hallway and around, and they had Anne's bedroom door open, and I managed to get it to the end of her bed, and to be able to ride my new motorbike in and present it to her at the end of the bed was just, for me, special. And looking at the smile on Anne's face, also special.
Well, I assume I have Scottish roots. You can tell by my orange hair. Yeah, I heard them at a wedding once and thought, that sounds fantastic, I'd love to do that. That's where that's from. Yeah, I came in a couple of times. I brought both my big set of pipes and a small set of indoor pipes, so I wasn't too loud for when she was, not wanting too much noise. So I played it for a few times for her. There was one tune called The Dawning of the Day, which I loved, and I think Mum loved it, which I think is cool. It's about the dawning of a day, and it's what Mum was about, giving it your all, like a fresh start each time. It's cool.
He was an accountant. Numbers once raced through his brain. Now their way was blocked by a tumour. Words became jumbled. He smiled and nodded, but I wonder if he realised to us he made no sense. Until the day I put him in the bubble bath. He smiled. He lifted the bubbles as a child would and said, "Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful." These words made perfect sense. The bubbles were beautiful in his eyes and in mine. Those bubbles judged no one. I wonder what he was thinking. Maybe just for that moment, things for him were beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I hope so.
Having experienced the hospice environment, it actually feels, I find it very comforting to know that that's actually there, and because it makes probably the most difficult experience that anyone's ever going to go through. It makes it a lot easier than it otherwise would be. And I hate to think what that experience would have been like if it hadn't taken place at the hospice.
I help the ways I can, but I think that it would be an absolute tragedy if we didn't have this hospice here, because there's nothing else. So let's all get behind it and see that we can keep it.
I just think that the hospice enables you to end life the way that you started life, and if your life is full of fun, it enables you to end life with a little bit of fun, and that's what they did with Anne and I.
Death, well, I don't get stressed with death. It's something that happens, and it's usually made very easy by the patient. Yes.
The whole community should get behind this project, definitely, because this really improves people's last days on earth. Also not just for the person who's dying, but for families, and they need that support.
We're hoping that the public of Marlborough will feel that they can continue. It's certainly our privilege to do so, and we want to work in partnership with this community to continue providing a high quality, effective, caring service of hospice support in the Marlborough community.
Last Sunday I sat with a lady who was beginning to die, conscious and frightened. Over 1 hour I watched life itself slip from her eyebrows, down her nose, and slide over her chiselled cheekbones. For a time it seemed to nestle in the hollow tide pool of her shoulder, before it moved on. Later that night, I'm sure I saw it gently float out of her open window.